shoot, the one thing that caught me and I just couldn't not think about it was where he asked me if I thought I had like being a lesbian is a sin,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if it is being a sin, then I'm trying to be the best wife, the best mother, the best person that I can be to make up for the sin of being a lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's I don't believe that I'm sinning, so I'm just doing what a good Christian would do, which is obey the covenants that God gave me, right? Be a good wife, don't cheat, make sure that my kid is okay, don't do anything against God's commandments for kids,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. But it's a difficult question, but if you go back and figure out what that question means, that question basically just means, were you born gay? Or do you feel like some sort of like your environment made you gay?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're choosing to sin. Right. So that to me was a difficult question
Mm-hmm.
because I also like we talked to Jana and whatnot, and she believes that she's a lesbian because something happened to her at a young age.
That is a lot of the conversation.
I've always believed that I was born gay, but also now I'm willing to go back and forth in my head with different beliefs and different conversations and trying to figure out what I really think.
Mm-hmm.
So that question, I think that's the question that he was really proposing without proposing that question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think? Also for these type of conversations, HGR CBD.
We appreciate you. I don't know. I think, well, I mean, if you want to base it on my journey, it would be I was not born gay. And it would have been considered environmental or later figured out or whatever. I don't know. I think that's a tough one because you do hear stories about, you know, people that have been sexually traumatized, that is one way that they gain back their control. They you know, try to get us, we've talked about this before, try to get us far away from that type of situation. You know, and usually it's with the opposite sex. So
good question. We'll get to that in a second. That's a really good question.
Mm-hmm. You know, then you have people that experience, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, it's either like nothing happened to you and you're gay, or something happened to you and then you realized you were gay,
Mm-hmm.
or it's the like if people want to play with how did you figure out you were gay?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I feel like the coming out stories for everybody is different.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I have a tough story. Like I had trauma as a kid for a lot of years. And then it just kind of, my childhood after that was fine.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I can't say because I had the trauma
Mm-hmm.
and then afterwards, because my childhood was fine. Like my grandparents were amazing.
Right.
My life, like, yeah, I was still struggling from the trauma, but I wasn't questioning my sexuality because of the trauma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so hard to actualize, like to really, like I need way more than 5 days to think about it.
But
right?
I also think that it's hard to ask that question because you do have women that have gone through trauma that again are now gay, or men, vice versa. But then you also have men and women that didn't experience trauma and they're still gay.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what kind of narrative you want to talk about it. And also too, how important is it for you to answer that question? Because I think that when we are trying to figure something out that just is, I think that, someone said it, I think Pool Boy might have said it or whatever, like, it doesn't mean that we're wrong and we have to torment ourselves to try to figure out what that answer is. I think it's a cool conversation and also something to think about. Again, we're in this whole process of, so
I want to go back to this. Talk about religion. Oh, wait, no, that wasn't, you asked something else.
Yeah, it's right here. I got it.
Oh, you got it?
Okay. Well, hold on real quick. Hello, Mr. Self.
Taylor Self. We're going to talk about that guy. Yeah, we're going to get there, dude. That's why I labeled the show the way that I labeled the show. Yeah. We'll get there.
Well, hold on. Keeping It Real said this first.
I think it's cool you can actually think about this, but I think the distinction John was making was proclivity versus acting on the proclivity. Most Christians I know believe that gay people are born gay. Sure, I agree with that. But it's if I think it's a sin or if I don't think it's a sin. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I'm going to have to sit and think about. Do I think that being gay is a sin and I'm trying to make up for it by doing all of the things that God told me or the covenant told me, or when I absolutely believe that when I got married and my rings got put in that book and our rings were blessed and we said those words, I believe the covenant that I made.
Yes.
So do I believe that I'm following the covenant because I'm a sinner? Or do I believe I'm following the covenant because I believe in God? And that's exactly just how God made me. God made me to love women. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's something that is worth talking about and it's something that is worth thinking about. And I can't say I know.
Yeah. Well, also John made a really good point too.
We're already forgiven. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that was the thing for me that hit me the hardest.
Yeah. And so there's that part to me, which you and I talked about this afterwards, is that sometimes I think it's difficult to understand exactly because it sounds so contradictory.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's a sin, but you're forgiven because you're exactly who you're supposed to be, but it's still
yeah,
it's
murky.
So I think for some people it's difficult to follow that, where they might just choose, well, instead of trying to figure out, like you said, the murky water of it, I can just say that, like,
God is pansexual, dude. It's God's day. Go to church or something. I don't know. No, I don't know. He might be. Sure.
But the other thing that was very interesting for me was, and this is a good conversation too, of following the word exactly how it's written versus how John called them the messengers, or motivational speakers, because not everybody can follow the word precisely or is able to or wants to follow the word precisely. But the message, kind of what you're saying, the message of, or his message of, being a good partner, don't cheat, don't steal, don't hurt other people, all of that type of stuff. Like, someone can believe that. I believe without
absolutely.
I believe our vows.
Yes.
I absolutely believe in our vows, and our love and the commitment that we made to each other, but I don't have faith. So I think that there is,
I think it's what we always talk about. And I think that that's what we asked John. Without believing the same things, can we come to a place of agreement when it comes to our morals? Mm-hmm. When it comes to our active morals, can we believe and follow the same standards? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then I would say, who's it up to? If I believe that God made me the exact way that he meant to make me, then I don't believe that I'm sinning.
Isn't that the message though?
But what I'm saying is for people to get mad at us and for John to think that I'm sinning and that he's going to pray for me.
Yeah.
Then he believes that God didn't make me the way that I am.
That's what I was going to say.
Either way.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Right.
You can whatever you believe is what you believe. And I believe that he loves us and cares for us enough to want us to be in heaven with him at some point.
Yeah. And have conversations.
Right. But also he believes that I'm going to have to pray a lot and do a lot of good works and whatever to make it to heaven. Whereas I believe God made me exactly in his image, exactly the way that he wanted me to. And I'm following God's word and being the best person that I can be.
Yeah.
So
right.
I'll meet you in heaven.
Right.
I don't want to lose this one because I like this one a lot. CrossFit. Does figured out mean born and not realized? Yes. You're born gay, and I get it. Like, we kind of always say that we realize we're gay later.
I always said that I was late.
Yeah.
I came out late. I always say that.
I came out late too, if you want to go down that road.
But I almost wonder, like, did we come out late because the group that we hung around with just came out much earlier? Like, that was for me. Like, I came out late because
I don't even think that. Okay, so all right, here, let's go into this CrossFit. So Megan Rapinoe, or whatever her name is, the soccer player with the purple hair or whatever, she said something recently like, we're all not safe until everybody's out. And what do you mean out? Like, it's like everybody has to declare their sexuality immediately. How do you do? You don't know that. How do you do that? That's not it. So then I would say, like, hey, Megan Rapinoe, do straight people want their parents to know at 15, 16 what they're experimenting with sexually? Probably not. I don't think they're running to tell their parents that they touched a penis for the first time. You know what I mean? Like, realized or born, you're born whatever you are. Realized is how you come to that, I feel like. And it's just, no kid at 15, 16 is running to tell their parents what they experimented with sexually, whether they found a Playboy, whether they looked something up on YouTube, whether they touched something for the first time, whether they, like, no one is trying to do that. No, you've never heard of a straight girl that had sex early and got pregnant as a teenager in high school run to their parents because they wanted to tell their parents that they're pregnant in high school. Never, not once. So the gay community wants us to just be able to be out and show our sexuality everywhere. And it's like, at 15, you want us to do that? I don't want to do that now. I don't want to tell you what I'm doing now. Whatever I'm doing, I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, at 40 something, I'm like, okay, I don't mind sharing, whatever. But 15, 20, what happens when you make them, like, for all the dudes out there, what happens when you freaking make a mistake and you come too fast? Are you running to tell the world that? Like, are you running to tell what is happening? Like, I don't need to be out.
I just started singing Missy Elliott's Minuteman.
Yeah, it's not. That is definitely not something that, like, you. So yes, you figure out what you are, but also you're not running to be out. It's not that.
I think this might be a good perspective, I guess. You know, I struggled with coming out. It was very late when I came out. And if you guys don't already know, like, before Garrett, there was only one. I've only been with one woman before her. And her and I are almost about to celebrate our 12-year wedding anniversary. But when I started to realize that I was gay, and I had a very hard time coming out. And I had a hard time coming out because there was fear around that. There was fear around my job that I had, my family, not being accepted, and all of these type of things. And it was almost like I was living a double life. The friends that I had gotten around and the ex-girlfriend that I was with, everybody was out, everybody was welcoming, everybody was supportive. But on the other side, I had the fear of what was going to happen if I came out, when I came out, if I wanted to come out, what was happening, because it was a brand new feeling that I'd never had before. Then when I came out, then when I was out, And we joked that it took me a long time to say that I was gay, even when we were married.
You did not say you were gay until like 3 years into our marriage.
You keep changing the number of years.
Yeah, whatever. It was forever. It wasn't, you weren't out when we were married.
But okay, maybe I didn't say I was gay, but I always said you were my wife. I always said you were my girlfriend. And it was very important for me, for people to know that you were my wife, that you are my wife.
No labels. We didn't do labels then. Now everybody wants to put you in a label.
Well, that was for you. You always talk about there wasn't a label. When I started hanging out with this group, you had to have a label. Like, you literally had to do exactly what they're doing right now. Hi, my name is Colleen and I'm gay. That's literally what I needed to say.
Yeah.
Even though I was figuring out who I was and what was happening, because I had never had feelings like that. But my point being is that when I came out finally, I was that one that everybody needed to know. Like, everybody needed to know that you were my wife. I wanted to hold your hand. I wanted to be open and out and proud and with you. You are my wife. And what I'm realizing with hearing that now from other people is, for me, the narrative has changed, that not everybody needs to know, but the important people need to know. People that care, people that want to care, people that I care about, that want to be in our space and want to be in our circle. You know, so when we have people that would ask us when we first had our kid, what does he call you? What does, to both of us,
mommy, you know, and the other mommy,
this mommy and the other mommy, that's literally what he calls us. But it used to bother me when people would ask that, because it's people that I didn't know and people that I didn't care. And I just expected them to know. Now I've changed my mind around this whole idea that not everybody needs to know, but the important people in our life need to know. And I think that that's where the conversation and the narrative is changing. I don't know about for you, but for me, it's not everybody needs to know. If people are interested and kind enough and want to know and respect that, I'm cool with that. But I don't need to walk up to every single person and say, hi, my name is Colleen and I'm gay. And they say, no, you're not. And then I lose my shit. I also don't need to feel that
it's a little different for me, because if I don't explain that I'm a lesbian, people just think I'm a dude. Mm-hmm. But like, yeah, if I had a choice, I would rather not lead with who I'm fucking. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather not that be my motto.